Welcome to a life of purity. You are watching Sattva channel. Namaste and welcome to another episode of Sattva. Today we're going to be looking at Satvic cooking from an international perspective. So today we're going to make a Satvic pasta out of green Mong Daal and wheat flour. Let's dive into the recipe. And now to begin making this pasta, I have here a cup of whole wheat flour. And now I'm going to add just a pinch of ajwain seeds in this and a little pinch of cumin seeds, jeera. And now let's add in some salt. This is absolutely as per your taste. I'm using Himalayan pink salt. Adding in some turmeric powder to give it a little color. So I have some green Mong Daal here. This is the raw version of the green dal. I soaked it overnight. So after soaking it for about 10 to 12 hours or overnight, it doubles in size and now it can be easily cooked. So we will take about 1 cup. Totally depends on the kind of servings that you're making. If it's for 2 people, about 1 cup is perfectly fine. So we'll take a cup of green Mong Dal and I've placed it in the pressure cooker and we'll give it just 1 whistle for it to cook. So while our gas is cooking in the cooker, let's knead in the dough and make our handmade pasta. I'm going to be adding, firstly let's blend in all the spices into the flour and now slowly add as much water as you would need to make a soft yet firm dough. I am going to cover this with a basic cotton cloth and just keep it aside to rest for a while before we make them into pastas. And in the meanwhile, let's check what's happening in the cooker. So the dal is nicely cooked. You can check by removing just 1 grain, placing it between your fingers and pressing it. And if it presses easily, that means our dal is cooked. And the flour for the pasta has been resting for a while now. This is going to be a little sticky, so you can either dust your hands with flour or even grease your hands with some oil to make it a little easy. Let's take 1 ball of the dough. I'm going to coat it with the dry flour so it easily moves on this wooden top. I'm going to make this into a chapati. So here I have a sharp knife and now I'm just going to slice this into small even. I'm going to cut them into rectangular pieces. And now that I have these rectangular pieces with me, I'm just going to pinch them in the center. So now that our dough has been resting for a while, we'll take 1 ball of the dough and make it into a flat chapati. We're going to keep it a little thick, okay, not making it very thin so that the pastas are easy to handle. Maybe cut this into half. Leave the rest for later. Let's try and make some flat noodles with this. And now we can slice it thin or wider. I mean, it really depends on the kind of pasta that you would like. I'm going to make it a little thick. And while you're keeping it aside, make sure you sprinkle a little more flour on it and then probably get stuck. So these are some flat noodles that you could probably try. So here our pastas are ready. We made some noodle pasta and we've made some farfels, the bow tie shape. You can make any shape that you would like. You can also try a ravioli with some stuffing. So now I have a mud pot heating with some water in it. Let's check if the water is boiled. And now to this boiling water, I'm going to add a small pinch of salt and just a few drops of oil. So this will, when we add the oil to the water, it helps in keeping the pasta separate. They don't stick to each other. And now I am just going to drop in the farfels into the boiling water, and we will allow them to cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. And now we have another mud pot on the heat, and we will start preparing the sauce with our green Mong Daal. So I'm going to chop up some veggies and spices. Here we have some fresh green chilies. I have some boiled tomatoes. You can even roast these tomatoes and they will taste delicious with the sauce. Now I'm just going to cut out the center bit. So the mud pot is nice and heated. Let's add in some oil, any oil of your preference. The chopped chilies. I'm adding in some cumin seeds. Okay. Now I'm taking in some peppercorns for that nice spice and heat. To this we will add in a little bit of turmeric powder, the little bit of coriander seed powder. Give the masala, the spices a little stir. Now I'm adding in the tomatoes. Now we will cook these tomatoes and the spices till they become a nice puree and start leaving the oil. Now the spices and the tomatoes are cooked. Let's add in our cooked dal. Now we'll just cook this till everything gets incorporated and the green Mong Daal, it turns into a nice lentil puree, and then we will allow it to cool down and blend it into a fine paste. So we've just cooked and removed the pasta puree. This has to still go into a blender and turn into fine paste. Meanwhile, we've checked on to our pasta. It's cooked nice and well. So let's get it off the heat and onto the plate. There's your farfel pasta ready. We've got the farfel pastas out, and I'm putting in these flat noodles into the water to cook. So we're looking at a paste. It has to be a nice smooth sauce, but not too much water. So add as much water that you need to achieve this kind of consistency. And now it's time to plate up and put our pasta and sauce together. Now I have my farfels ready over here. I'm just going to place them all onto the plate. And now I'm going to pour in the pasta sauce. So there our pasta and the sauce is ready.